Hello everybody, Justin from Playing Board Games here, and today I am very excited for this list video because I'm doing something that I've never done before. Well, actually this isn't true, I've kind of done it before, but I'm doing it in a list video for the first time. I am here with 5 crazy predictions for the Drowned City. I don't think they're that crazy. I think some of them get a little bit outlandish, but I think for the most part these predictions are actually like pretty on the level. So what I wanted to do is, this is mostly just for fun. Like, this is me just basically just like taking shots in the dark and seeing like what sticks. But I have 5 predictions here for the Drowned City, and some of this, as I said, some of them are crazy, some of them are not. If none of them come true, I'm also totally fine with that. This is just like me having some fun trying to predict the future for what we've seen so far in the Drowned City and what we're going to see in the future of this as well. If I get any of these right, I'm going to do a cartwheel. If I get all 5 right, I honestly feel like I might be living in a simulation and this world just changes to what I want from it, apparently. I have that control. If all 5 of these are true, but I don't think that's going to happen. Let's go here with our first one, which I think is kind of the easiest and most obvious prediction to make. I think this one's actually pretty likely to be true, and that is Lucius Galloway will finally be our Seeker 05 Rogue 02. So, if you don't know, Lucius Galloway, we've seen his front side, but we haven't seen his back side. His 2415... that stat line is a good first hint. His ability is after you successfully evade an enemy by 2 or more, discover 1 clue at your location. Limit once per round. That ability is also a pretty good hint. His Elder Sound effect, let's not worry about that. It's not going to be fitting into this, but a little bit of history before we get into talking more about Lucius. But this is actually something that we have been trying to suss out our Seeker 05 Rogue 02 for a while. The first one I did it when Kate Winthrop was first spoiled. I made a video about why I felt like she was going to be our Seeker 05 Rogue 02. This was because of her ability, some of the cards that were spoiled with it. There was a lot of the science archetype in Seeker gave a lot of rogue vibes to me. So I made a video why I thought that she would be our Seeker 05 Rogue 02. As we all know, that is not the case. Her deck building, unfortunately, is a lot more boring than that. The next one was in Blackmail File. People assumed that George Barnaby was going to be our Seeker 05 Rogue 02 because, you know, he's an old white man, which means he's probably going to be a Seeker, right? That's just kind of like how it goes. And also then because Blackmail File, and assuming that he should be able to play the card that he is in the art for. Albeit, some people have said that this was actually not supposed to be George Barnaby, but this is supposed to be Carl Sanford. I'm not sure, like I've heard that as well. I still think that they edited this to be George Barnaby. But as we know, because George Barnaby was recently spoiled, which we'll be discussing in a video on Sunday, by the way, that George Barnaby is actually a survivor. And he can still play Blackmail File, so that part is true. So, all eyes are now on Lucius Galloway as our Seeker 05 Rogue 02. Underworld Market was recently tabooed, and Duke said that Lucius Galloway was the reason that Underworld Market was tabooed. So as far as I'm concerned, that pretty much is the final nail in the coffin for this being a correct prediction. So I'm going to basically just take this as a gimme. Like, I'm pointing, like, you know, like when Babe Ruth pointed out in the stands and hit a home run? I'm just like pointing at my bat and being like, this is what I'm going to hit the ball with, and then I hit the ball with it. So I think that this is a pretty easy prediction, but I do think that this one is going to be true. From here on out, we're going to get a bit more interesting with some of these predictions. Actually, not really. The next one is also pretty simple as well. But let's go to the next one. Number 2, there is going to be a lot, and I say a lot, of firearm support in this set. I even have a little asterisk here because I was gonna say that I think there might not even be a melee weapon in this set. There might be. If there is, it's probably going to be like maybe a fishing hook for Marion, maybe a survivor thing, but I just feel like they want this to be the firearm set, and we're going to see a lot of cool firearms and firearm support. The reason for this is Michael McGlenn. As we see, he has not been spoiled yet, but I imagine some content creator currently actually knows what his cards are. But as a reaction, all we know is after, ammo, gain 1, per fight, So maybe it's like after ammo is spent from a firearm, gain 1 resource, or like gain 1 resource per firearm, like per firearm asset you control. That would be insanely powerful if that was the case, but like maybe it is just like, as we know that Michael McGlenn has firearm and ammo synergy. So I think this is a pretty easy prediction to say that there is going to be a lot of firearm support within the Drowned City. That's why I have the little extra spice on top of this, where no way melee weapons apart from fishing hook. That's kind of like where I'm going like into the crazy prediction of like maybe this is also true. We saw some of this kind of a setup and cleaning kit is kind of like the thing. And then when I say that there's going to be firearm support, I think we're going to see Guardian and Rogue firearm support. I think actually, like, to add on to this, I think Michael McGlenn is going to be kind of like Akachi, where her deck building is charges. I think Michael McGlenn is actually going to also be ammo. Like, he might be like Rogue 05, ammo 04, right? Like, I think he could be something like that. I do think that, like, he's going to want to, like, use as many guns as possible, and I think we're going to get a good payoff for it. Is he going to necessarily use cleaning kit? I'm not sure. That remains to be seen, but I do think that we've already seen the Gatling gun, which we talked about earlier on the channel, but we also just had a card spoiled, Luger P08, which is, I think, like a really cool rogue firearm that kind of acts as like a garrote wire type thing, where you're not using it as your main weapon, but it's a smaller, reloadable gun that you use to pick off and save the ammo on your bigger guns. But I think that like I said, I think that this is, again, a pretty basic prediction, and it's a pretty safe one, but I do think that there's going to be a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean like it's going to be a big identity of the rogue class. It's going to be like the part of the rogue identity, because Michael McGlenn, he has 5 fists, he's going to be shooting guns, but also I think it's going to carry over into the Guardian class, because I think, as we know, one of the designers really likes firearms and likes playing with them and building with them and designing them, obviously, but also because I think they've heard the people online talk a lot about how Guardian hasn't received firearm support in a very long time. And I do think that while Rogue is now the firearm class, I think we're going to see a big boost in that in a different way inside of the Guardian class in Drowned City. All right, so now those were like the easy ones. Now let's get into some of the bigger ones, the bigger swings, if you will. This time I'm not pointing at the bat, I'm pointing at the third baseman and being like, I'm going to hit you right in the frickin' head. Number 3. Archibald McVeigh will have some sort of secret battery, because why else would this guy cost 5 XP? So if you don't know, Archibald McVeigh is one of the trade-based cards, I think they're called specialist cards, that was spoiled in the preview article. And since he has come out, everyone has been memeing on this guy, being like, this is the face that he makes when he realizes he's never going to leave my binder. Because it's kind of just true. Right now, this guy does, like, very little. He is outclassed by Dr. Milan, which is not an uncommon thing for Seeker allies. Dr. Milan is just, like, really good. But you look at this thing and it's like, why would I want to play an asset that has secrets and not use those secrets unless I have a reason for it? Like, I could see this guy printed at 3 XP, right? I could see him printed, reading honestly, as printed right now, as the current card pool is, 2 XP. So I feel as though Archibald McVeigh has something in this set that is going to give a reason for why he is 5 XP. So my idea for what this is like some sort of secret battery. I have here as a mouse mask as an example of what is considered to be like a battery, is something that can refill. So the secrets can like be refilled through some method, and then it allows you to have a constantly reoccurring source of resource revenue in order to make Archibald McVeigh actually worth the experience. Because then you can become a spell slinging deck where your economy refills itself, as opposed to having this weird balance where you need to play Archibald McVeigh, but then you need to play assets to play your insights, and it just becomes this kind of like messy little thing where you have to unfortunately like split your deck multiple ways. Or alternatively, this guy could just be like a clean sneak or a stir the pot 5, where it's, or a flute of the outer gods, right? Where it's one of those things where we don't really know why the cookie crumbled this way, but unfortunately this is the way the cookie crumbled in design. I hope this is not the case. I do hope that Archibald McVeigh, whether he be a plant for the future or actually has something that he can take advantage of in this set, it is just a little bit, he is looking a little bit strange right now for sure. All right, let's go on to number 4. Gloria's signature weakness will hit very hard. This one, okay, maybe this one isn't too crazy of a hit, but my thought process for this is pretty simple. Gloria Goldberg is a very strong investigator. She's been a strong investigator for a very long time. We have only had her book signatures up until this point, and the reality is that her book signature weakness was not that powerful. We've always known what her signature weaknesses were going to be called, but we had no idea what they did. 3 copies of Psychic Sensitivities and 3 copies of Prophecy of the End shuffled into the encounter deck. I think that a lot of sentiment online, and I think is pretty fair, is that these weaknesses are going to have an effect when Gloria looks at them. But I think that there was a lot of time that's been Gloria's first release to her actual official release, and then there's been a lot of people being like, Gloria is very powerful, and she is very powerful, and I think the designers are aware of that, and the designers have probably trying to perfectly tune Gloria to hit her into a level where she is not as crazy powerful as she is right now. Will they succeed remains to be seen. We'll find out when we get there. Or maybe they just don't care and they just want Grandma to keep going crazy. Unfortunately, she's not going to look so much like Grandma in her actual official art, so we might need to stop calling her Grandma. But Gloria is about to see her official stuff. So my prediction is that it's either going to be something like Ancient Evils, where if you look at it, you place a Doom on the current agenda. This might be too bad. This might be too tough for it to be, and it might go to the point where it actually is too hard of an adjustment to for the players to have to follow through with. The other one is that it's overzealous. So maybe it's like Mandy's signature, where you cancel your look, shuffle the deck, draw a card, right? Maybe that card gains surge, but maybe if you see Prophecy of the End, it's going to trigger, it's going to cancel your ability to look, shuffle the deck, and give you a card. I could see that being the case. Or, my craziest theory is Gloria Goldberg came out a long time ago. Maybe she was designed at the same time as the Circle Undone 3 treacheries existed. So maybe every time she looks at one, it gets put next to her, right? Or put next to the agenda. And then when there's 3 of them in play, something very bad happens to her or the entire team. I feel like this might affect everybody due to the fact that her ability can kind of just affect everybody. But I'm very curious to see how this actually evolves for Gloria Goldberg. But I think that this is going to be a cool thing to see when we actually see her in action. And finally, my last prediction, and I think this one's the wildest one, we will see a downgraded Shards of the Void in this box. That's right, I'm calling it. This is my home run. This is me pointing into the clouds and being like, I'm gonna hit an angel up there. Shards of the Void came out in the Forgotten Age. And this is a really cool spell that unfortunately doesn't see a lot of play for the biggest reason of arcane research and down the rabbit hole, where Mystic Payoff exists because of the ability to upgrade your spells. So you want level 0 versions, or you want to pay experience for the level 1 Edge of the Earth spells, and then you want to upgrade to the higher levels, right? Shards of the Void is actually a super playable spell, right? It's basically just a 3 charge, well, it's actually just a 4 charge, of 4 charge things that you can do, because you can also spend a charge, so it's going to come in with 3, but it's also going to come in with a 0, so you can also spend the Chaos token sealed here. You of course don't get the brain boost if if there's no token sealed, but it actually is very functional and very playable. I think the reason that it isn't played is, as stated, because of those upgrade spells. However, Agatha Crane is implying that there is going to be a huge amount of sealing, canceling, or ignoring Chaos tokens in this set. So whether that be this is going to be the seal expansion or the next expansion is going to be the seal expansion, there is support for we are revisiting this kind of thing. So I think that there is going to be a level 0 Shards of the Void. As we know, in each set, they always do some upgrades or downgrades, because 1, it's good for the card pool, also a little bit bad for the card pool, but number 2, it also saves them on art budget, right? Because they don't need to print new art. They always probably are like, some of the cards that are printed in the design is like, we don't need to do art for these because this already exists somewhere else. And I feel like Shards of the Void level 0 is going to be that. I do. I hope this one is right. This is actually the prediction that I'm like the most excited about being potentially true, because when I was brainstorming the ideas for this video this morning and all my predictions, I was like, damn, this actually would be kind of sick to see. But those are my 5 crazy predictions for the Drowned City with varying levels of swinging for the fences or not. Notably, I actually had lots of fun doing this video, so maybe I'll do it again when the next expansions or whatever form they're going to take is going to come out, because it was kind of fun to kind of brainstorm what ifs, and if I'm right, I'm going to feel like a genius, and if I'm wrong, well, it's your fault that I'm wrong. I'm not wrong. I'm just going to push the blame onto somebody else. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this little video. What are your predictions for Drowned City? Please let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Have a good one. And as always, GG's.